You can't swim. You don't want to drown. Well, I'm sorry, but that's just not my problem. What do you mean it's not your problem? Of course it's your problem. Can't you see that if I have a problem, you have a problem? And if you have a problem, I have a problem? And if anybody has a problem, everybody has a problem? Because we're all in the same boat. Dear friends, last Sunday morning, in the wake of the Charlottesville tragedy, I was honored to stand beside Dr. Calvin Butts and address our friends at Harlem's Abyssinian Baptist Church. And I told that story based on Shimon Bar Yochai's admonition that if one person drills a hole in the bottom of a boat, even if it's beneath his own seat, the whole boat still sinks. We are all in the same boat. We felt it after yesterday's atrocity in Spain, another attack by radicalized Islamists on Western democracies, the victims representing more than 30 countries, so many French. And we felt it after last weekend's horror in Virginia. Tonight I will speak more about Charlottesville than Barcelona, though three truths emerge from both calamities. First, we must call terrorism what it is, without equivocation. Second, there exist perverse ideologies at home and abroad that deny our common humanity and employ fear to get us to do the same. And third, no matter our ethnicity or gender identity, our color or our creed, we are all in the same boat. We should be clear about what drew last weekend's crowd of Klansmen and neo-Nazis to Virginia. Racism. The statue of General Robert E. Lee is not just another icon. It stands as a bitter reminder of the slavery of yesterday and the institutionalized racism of today. But bigots are equal opportunity haters. The rally's organizer, Jason Kessler, is also notorious for his anti-immigrant pronouncements. The marchers also came armed with anti-Semitic placards and chanted anti-Semitic slogans. 3, brandishing semi-automatic rifles, intimidated worshipers at the local synagogue, Congregation Beth Israel, which requested police protection but received none. We are all in the same boat. And as Dr. King reminded us, if we don't stand together as brothers and sisters, we will perish together as fools. I told those gathered on Sunday that I don't hold President Trump responsible for every act of hate that occurs under his watch. But I sure do hold him accountable for how he responds. And last Saturday's response, on which he has since doubled down, equating the many sides involved as if the white supremacists and neo-Nazis occupied the same moral footing as those who stood against them, was an unconscionable disgrace. Mr. President, you cannot hope to tamp down the fires of hate with one hand while stoking them with the other. Your continued assault on political correctness, which risks desensitizing the many to the concerns of the few, and your aversion to identity politics downplaying focus on those concerns, has energized an assortment of bigots and given license to their expressions of hate you are uniquely positioned but painfully slow to denounce. Your failure during the campaign to repudiate promptly David Duke's support emboldened those who thought, hey, now maybe we can get away with this stuff. And now they are. As legislators on both sides of the aisle have made clear, this is not a matter anymore of political left and right, but of moral right and wrong. And we are all in the same boat. So just as the grief of the victims in Barcelona is our grief, and the anxiety of the Jewish community of Charlottesville is our anxiety, so the concerns of American Muslims for their physical safety in this moment of suspicion and mistrust must be our concerns. And the anguish of immigrant children over the potential deportation of their parents must be our anguish. The outrage of the transgender community over the rollback of their protections must be our outrage, and the fears of African Americans when confronted by police must be our fears. In the wake of Saturday's violence, I recalled an interview with Hetty Epstein, a Holocaust survivor who was arrested on the streets of Ferguson protesting the police shooting of Michael Brown. She spoke of how, on arriving in the United States in 1948, she was stunned by Southern racism. She knew what we know. Anti-Semitism, racism, Islamophobia, homophobia, hatred of the other all emanate from the same pathology, the failure to discern in those who are different our common humanity. As people of faith, we understand that God fashioned us from the same first person to remind us that we are all brothers and sisters. Therefore, no one should ever say to another, "My lineage is greater than yours." Jewish tradition teaches that the angels in heaven directed God to make Adam with bits of clay from all over the earth, so that none should ever say, "My ethnicity is greater than yours," and that the clay should be of varying shade, so that none could say, "My color is superior to yours." One of the goals of terrorism, in Spain as in Virginia, is to sow in us enough suspicion and fear that we forget where we came from, and that the same divine spark that animated the first human being burns in us all. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, or his background, or his religion, Nelson Mandela once said. People must learn to hate. And if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. If I have a problem, you have a problem. And if you have a problem, I have a problem. And if anyone has a problem, everyone has a problem, because we're all in the same boat. The prince repeated the words to himself, finally understanding. The fishermen returned the boat to shore, and everyone disembarked. From that day forward, the prince ruled his land with justice and kindness, and the kingdom was paradise once again.